Yeah, welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. Got a pretty interesting show for you here today. This would probably be a lot quicker than a lot of my previous episodes, but I'm going to take a break from the NBA for a bit, even though the NBA just gives us so much. And we're going to get back to the NFL. And in the NFL, we're going to talk about these free agency period moves. And this one is going to be about Kirk Cousins moving away from the Minnesota Vikings and getting down into the heat. A-Town, and now he's a dirty bird. But before we get to that, if you haven't already and you're here on YouTube, please go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept aware of up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in the Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, please make sure you give us that like, give us that 5-star review, and drop us a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And let's not forget that every Saturday night at 7 p.m., we're going to be doing the live shows with an opportunity for you to call in and talk directly to yours truly. So I love those. I'm looking forward to more of that. Let's make it happen. Let's continue to make the show grow and do big things for 2024. All right, let's get right to it. So Kirk Cousins. This is a guy, man. Let me first say this. Kirk Cousins got to have the best freaking agent in the history of sports. This guy is amazing, okay? So if you're an NFL fan, you know that Kirk Cousins suffered a torn Achilles tendon last season and missed most of the year. And even still with that, he, as a free agent, just inked a deal. Well, I guess tomorrow he can officially ink the deal, but he has basically agreed in principle to a deal that's 4 years and $180 million with the Atlanta Falcons. So he's going to be headed that way. That's a pretty good deal, especially for a guy who's 36 years old and coming off an Achilles and is not an elite player. But let's keep in mind when we talk about that kind of money, $180 million sounds like a huge amount. Number one, the fully guaranteed money is actually $90 million. That's the money guaranteed at signing. So that's fully guaranteed. The total guarantees are $100 million. But if he plays the whole thing, he will make at least $100 million. And if he hits incentives, obviously the maximum amount he can make is $180 million. Now, most guys never make the max on a contract, maybe your Mahomes and those type of level guys. But Kirk Cousins isn't that level guy. He is clearly entrenched as a second-tier guy, but he's a very, very good second-tier guy. He's very consistent. You know what you'll get, but what you won't get is deep playoff runs. In his time in the NFL, he has only won one playoff game. And so that kind of shows you the ceiling with Kirk Cousins. You know where it is. Now, with that said, the Atlanta Falcons, obviously, they haven't had success at the quarterback position since Matt Ryan, and now they're looking to restabilize in a division that's definitely winnable in the NFC South. And so, again, they went ahead and they got this guy in agreement, and tomorrow likely will be inked for a 4-year, $180 million deal. Now, that's some good money, right? And crazy thing about Kirk Cousins, if you know this show, you've heard me rant and rave about Dak Prescott and how he should never, ever be the highest paid guy in the history of football. Now, Kirk Cousins, if you watch this show, you also know you've heard me do the show explaining that Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins are identical as football players and as quarterbacks. The stats down the line are almost identical, except for the fact that Kirk Cousins, I think, has played 4 more years. So he's got more passing yards and touchdowns. But if you look at stuff like completion percentage and interception percentage and touchdown percentage and all of that stuff, they're the exact same player. And of course, Kirk Cousins, as I mentioned, has 1 playoff win. Dak Prescott has 2. So like, either way, you have either one of those guys, you're not going to win anything. You're not going to get to the big dance. But it is what it is. Kirk Cousins, the crazy thing about him, by the time, if he plays this full contract out, by the time it's over, he will have earned $411 million as an NFL quarterback. It is... That's why I opened up this thing saying, like, he has to have the best agent in the history of sports because he keeps getting these fully guaranteed deals. Now, obviously, it's not a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed deal like what Deshaun Watson got in Cleveland. It's not like that, but he might have he was getting like 3-year fully guaranteed deals. But this one here, even though it seems like a lot of money, and technically it is a lot of money for a guy, again, who's coming off an Achilles and who is 36 years old, it is, but with where the quarterback salaries are now, what is he averaging? $45 million a year. That's actually not unreasonable because the top guys are up near $55-57 million a year. So, you know, that's kind of taking a haircut. And Kirk Cousins he's going to a situation where they've got some talent there on the outside, and they've got a talented young running back in Bijan Robinson, and then they got Kyle Pitts, and they got a couple receivers. So maybe they can make some noise. They got a young, energetic head coach in Raheem Morris. But I'll tell you what, though, it was smart because everyone was talking about Atlanta kind of being the fit for Justin Fields if the Bears decided to trade him, which they still might, but not to Atlanta, obviously, because they got their guy now. But I can see, looking deeper at it, the reason that Atlanta went ahead and did the Kirk Cousins grab is because Kirk Cousins coming from Minnesota under, I want to say Mike McConnell, the head coach up there. McConnell is from the Sean McVay tree, and Raheem Moore, excuse me, he is from the Sean McVay tree, and he brought Zach Robinson with him from LA as his offensive coordinator. And what does that mean? That means that Kirk Cousins knows the system. He knows the verbiage. There's not going to be any learning curve with a quarterback. And had they gotten Justin Fields, that would have been another new system Justin Fields would have had to learn, and maybe there would have been some difficulty in the learning curve. So Kirk Cousins can immediately step into it. I say the word step loosely because obviously, again, he's coming off an Achilles, but he can step right into the system, knowing what's going on, knowing what's expected, knowing the verbiage and all that. So it kind of is a really good fit. And, you know, I am looking forward to seeing Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield duel it out for NFC South supremacy, because I don't see the Carolina Panthers getting any better. They're going to be terrible. But yeah, this should be interesting. Congrats, Kirk Cousins. And again, that agent is just amazing. And now Kirk Cousins he's on his third team in his career, and he's in a new spot. And who knows what kind of success he may or may have. Now, the empirical evidence based on what we've seen throughout the duration of his career is he's not that guy that's going to get you over the hump. But, you know, the NFC isn't the most difficult of the two conferences, and maybe depending on how the seedings and the matchups play out, who knows, maybe he gets you a little further. But yeah, looking forward to seeing that. So yeah, what I want to know from you is, what do you think about Kirk Cousins in the A? I think that's what they call it in Atlanta. And do you think that he's going to help the Falcons make any sort of deep playoff run? Leave your comments in the comment section. Can't wait to hear from you. And don't forget, again, Saturday night at 7, you have the opportunity to call in and talk to me directly on our live show. So I'll be back with you next episode, and I'm out. Peace.